We have Baylor Long Island this week. But first, let's go back to last week a little bit. So, guys, I thought Baylor made some across the board improvements from week 1 to week 2. And yet the outcome still goes against Baylor, 20-13 against that 12th ranked Utah team. So I suspect that both of you, I know this is the case with Zach because we've had this conversation already, but are more optimistic about where this team is headed than maybe I am. So let's lay it out. Maybe you guys can convince me a little bit. What gives you hope about this Baylor team still having a good season? And what does a good season look like? What maybe record wise, what does a good season look like? And maybe you're recalibrating that a little bit after 0-2. I don't know, but either one of you.
There we go for it.
Well, and am I speaking? Because it says something about mute up there. Y'all can.
No, you're good. We hear you.
All right. What I would say is, I had a lot more hope after this week than I did week 1. Like, I walked away from the stadium after week 1 going, geez, where are the wins going to come from? And I will say I thought Texas State was much better than I thought they were going to be too. But Utah, that game, and I know it was tough the way it ended, but what I needed to see this week was improvement, and I did. Defense, I thought they played way better. They got tired, I think, obviously, there at the end. But I thought the defense pretty much on every level played better. Defensive line got more of a push. Linebackers were making play. I thought Matt Jones maybe had one of his better games since he's been at Baylor. And then secondary, they had 3 new starters in there. And I thought the secondary held up really well, particularly until that drive where they scored the tying touchdown. So that side, I feel a lot of hope, and I saw a lot of improvement. Offense, first half, I thought looked pretty good, ran the ball, which they didn't do the first week. They were not able to run the ball other than a couple of longer runs. And this one, they did it more consistently. I think the offensive line, maybe some of the changes they made there, they were able to run the ball a lot better. So those things kind of gave me a lot more hope than I did in week 1. And for me, I don't know that my prediction, or I didn't make a prediction, but I will say, I think all along it's, go back to a bowl, win at least 6 games, was hoping for, 8 to 10, but I do think you have to temper it a little bit now. But if they can, and that would be, if you win 6, that's 6 of the last 10 now. So that's a tough task with the schedule they have, but I think that's doable.
Zach, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the points Jerry made. I think that the secondary specifically kind of gave me hope with 2 kind of true freshmen, Caden Jenkins, DJ Coleman. I know I've talked a lot about him over the last week. Really kind of
you were like, where did this guy come from?
Right. He just kind of came out. He was not listed on the depth chart, and he just kind of here he is and having this great game, and now I'm all in. And I know we can't talk to freshmen, but I really want to,
yeah.
So that gives me some hope, the secondary. And then, I know Sawyer Robertson threw those 2 big interceptions late, but he was doing, I think, kind of what they asked him to do, kind of being the game manager, kind of just getting them to the point where they had opportunities to score. There was a big question about finishing, which I know we were talking to the players about last night, but I think that you look at the 2 big injuries, Devin Lemire and Blake Shapen, and I think the people that have filled in for them, I think did it admirably, to the point where I think that 6-6 is a very, it's a level that I think that Baylor can get to this year. And, I know before the season I had them, maybe going for the Big 12 title game. Maybe that was a little bit of, new person comes to the beat and makes big prediction kind of thing. But I think 6-6 would be a very good season.
Well, so I'll do a little bit of good cop and bad cop. How about that? Because I can see exactly the points that you guys are making. and agree with a lot of them. They definitely improved in that Utah game. And not only did they improved against a very good team. So that I understand why that would give people hope. You would think that Sawyer Robertson would continue to improve. And obviously, when you get Blake Shapen back, all the better for Baylor because naturally he played really well, honestly, in that Texas State game. It was just a case of, offensive line false starts. That's something they've got to get cleaned up, obviously. But I mean, you still have 6 home games left on the schedule. That's good for Baylor. And I thought the timing on some of those passes that Sawyer made, obviously he's been practicing with the twos, right? So, the more timing he gets with those guys, it was just like a little off. Some of those passes were just like barely overthrown. And if they can work that out, that's good for Baylor. But the schedule is going to be tough. I mean, you got Texas coming here in 2 weeks. They're looking pretty strong. You got some tough road games, including, last year's Big 12 champion K-State. So yeah, I do think they could get back to a bowl, but that may also involve them winning a game that they're not, quote unquote, supposed to win. So we'll see.